My name is James Madren. I live in Wentworth, North Carolina, small town of about 2,200 people. And I was raised in Reidsville, stayed there until I was 18 when I went to the U.S. Air Force and wanted to see the world. And that lasted all of about one plane ride to Texas. Daddy was on the Omaha beach on D-Day, and I figured the only way I could thank him for what he done for me by going across that beach, I had to raise my right hand and do a little something too. It was exciting. I worked on B-52 bombers, was amazed at planes and how big they were and loved working on them. When I was 16, I went to work in a restaurant and ended up in a textile mill. It was called Macfield Texturing back then when I was late 16, or maybe just had turned 17. And so when I left the textile mill to go into the service, the GI Bill of Rights tells me I can come back to that job. I didn't make nothing. When me and my wife first met, it was some humble beginnings on both sides. When we got married, the day we got married, we literally had $15 between us. She had $12 and I had $3. Milton Wharf married us in his living room. I told him I'd give him $5 for marrying us. Well, the trouble was I only had $3. And so as soon as my wife said I do and I gave her a kiss, I borrowed $2 from her. I never could afford to go to the fair when I was a kid. Even the city fair was beyond my means. I wanted my daughter to be able to do things that we couldn't do. And so me and my wife saved up some money. And when I was 32, we're talking 28 years ago, we went to the state fair for the first time. Won't never forget it. It was people having fun. Everybody was getting along. Nobody was arguing, fussing, and fighting, you know. And it was just a beautiful experience, and I loved it. I had absolutely no interest whatsoever in making a bowl. I could build a dog house that if the weather was bad enough, the dog would probably go in it and lay down without being too embarrassed. I could build a bird house that bluebirds seemed to halfway like, but over and above that, I had 2 left hands and I'm right-handed. We got into making our own bread, and I hated making bread in a plastic bowl. I wanted her to have something that wasn't like roughing it. I know it was a very minor thing to most people, but when you don't have a lot of things, having something is great. And so I wanted her to have a bowl. So I started making bowls and selling them at work, and never thought that I would do it for 28 years. Never thought I'd end up making over 2,000 bowls. I just wanted a pretty bowl for my wife, and I hadn't got there yet. I've walked out into the woods and I started crying. It just amazes me at times to walk out in the woods and look up at a tree and see where a limb comes in, or see something going on in that bark. And I just get so excited. I've got people who, for whatever reason, hold me up on this pedestal that, you know, this guy's something special. You know, at Unify, I'm a fork truck operator, and I'm a receiving clerk. I can help you find any box of yarn we've got. You know, that's me. If you need a trailer moved, I can also drive the switcher. I'm probably by my daughter, thought of as probably one of the world's best dads. Woo. I get a joy out of every single one of them.